Toowoomba in southeast Queensland is probably one of the most quintessential Australian cities. With a population of 142,000 and a close proximity to Brisbane, it's Australia's second largest inland city after the national capital, Canberra. Despite its size, it has the distinct vibe of a big country town where everyone seems to know everyone. So when Jana Armstrong, a 30-year-old brand new mum and a much-loved support carer within the community, went missing earlier this month and was later found dead in bushland, the city of Toowoomba was understandably reeling. I am Carly Smith, senior reporter at the Daily Mail. I have been covering this harrowing story that has sent shockwaves around the nation. This horrible situation began on Tuesday, July the 7th, which started out as a fairly normal day for Jana. She strapped her 4-month-old son, Deshelle, into her white Hyundai Kona SUV, and then she drove to meet her sister, Faith Isaacs, for brunch at a cafe in Toowoomba. The two sisters were incredibly close and brought even closer due to the very sad deaths of their parents in quite close proximity to each other a few years ago. That brunch is the last time that Faith would see her sister Jana alive. So Faith told the ABC that looking back after she shared brunch with Jana, she kind of felt that in hindsight maybe there wasn't something quite right with her sister. In the early hours of the following morning, Wednesday, July 8, Jana's Hyundai Kona was found abandoned, unlocked and parked strangely near her home on Gordon Avenue in the suburb of Newtown. So police on that Wednesday very quickly began circulating a report about a missing person. A search was very quickly launched, but already Jana's loved ones could tell that something was very, very wrong. As a crime reporter, you kind of see this happen a little bit too often, as is the case with a lot of missing persons reports that kind of hit the internet. You often see people not known to the missing person or their family start to speculate and kind of play armchair detective and speculate what might have happened to that person. So with Jana, given that she had only recently given birth, as I've mentioned, her son was only 4 months old, there was a lot of absolutely baseless speculation on the internet that perhaps Jana might have been suffering from postnatal depression and perhaps had come to harm herself. I spoke to several of Jana's friends in the days after she was reported missing, and they were absolutely outraged at the suggestion that Jana may have harmed herself while suffering some kind of mental health issue. One of those friends who I spoke to, she was absolutely devastated and she broke down in tears while we were talking on the phone, particularly about the very thought that Jana may have done something to hurt herself, which would have then meant that she would have abandoned her baby son. This friend said she was very much not suffering from any kind of mental health issue and in fact had been deliriously happy since welcoming Deshelle into her life. She'd always wanted to become a mum and that dream had only just come true. And this friend also said to me that if Jana was depressed, which to be clear, again, she wasn't, there is another very important reason that she would never have done anything to harm her own safety, particularly because she never would have wanted to abandon her dear sister Faith. Faith was actually going through another tragedy that is also just as unthinkable as losing her sister, which we'll go into later. As police, and along with the local SES and Jana's family and friends, were desperately searching for Jana in and around Toowoomba, new details started to come to light about her former partner, Dharminder Singh. Now, Dharminder is the father of her 4-month-old son. The 48-year-old was stopped outside of the Toowoomba Magistrates Court on the Friday following Jana's disappearance. Now, he was appearing there on an unrelated matter. As he exited the court, a Channel 7 news team, a reporter and a cameraman, caught up with him and asked if he knew where Jana was. And he responded very quickly that he had no idea.
Do you know where she is? Jana? You know
I have no idea.
Something that stood out to me while watching that video was Dharminder's dishevelled appearance, and going by the footage, you could sort of see as well that he appeared to have some kind of marks on his face. I'm not sure what those were, but they just were quite striking to me at the time. At this stage, he was not a suspect in Jana's disappearance, or at least not publicly known. Like the police hadn't told the media that they were looking at him. So that's the first time that Dharminder Singh enters the narrative here surrounding Jana as people are continuing to look for her. Early on Sunday morning, the Sunday after Jana had been last seen on Tuesday the 7th of July, Jana's sister Faith received the absolutely worst news imaginable. Police had told her that her sister was dead, and the circumstances surrounding her death were just unthinkably horrific. So according to police, a group of pig hunters had happened across some human remains on the Saturday evening. Those remains are at the bottom of a steep embankment in bushland off the winding rural Escampton Road, which is just a bit north of Toowoomba. Police believed the remains to have been Jana's, and obviously set out to tell Jana's family, including Faith, as soon as they were basically certain that that was their missing loved one. Police have alleged that Jana was strangled to death before her killer took her to that remote bushland area and threw her body over that embankment. At 6:30 a.m. on Sunday, the morning after Jana's remains were found, Faith shared a really emotional post on Facebook confirming the news. So this case by this point had taken on so much interest nationally, and Faith was just doing her best to get the word out because, you know, you've got someone missing and everyone, like the more that people know about it, the more people are looking for her. So Faith did an amazing job keeping the communication up with the public via her Facebook posts, which were set to public so that everyone could see them. Everyone who was interested could look Faith up and get the updates straight from her. It is with a completely broken heart that I share we have now been advised my beautiful sister Jana has been found deceased. Police have made an arrest and a man has now been charged with my sister's murder. There are simply no words to describe the heartbreak and devastation I am feeling. Losing my beautiful sister in this way is something I will never be able to understand or put into words. My beautiful Jana deserved so much more. She was so deeply loved and will be missed beyond words. Faith then shared a really powerful pledge. I promise you, Jana, your beautiful baby boy will always know exactly who his mummy was, how deeply you loved him, and just how incredibly special you were. I will speak your name, share your stories, and keep your memory alive for him every single day. I will never, ever let him forget his beautiful mummy. Just hours after Jana's body was found discarded in the bush, police swooped on her former partner, the Indian-born maxi-taxi driver, Dharminder Singh. They arrested him in an apartment in Harristown around dawn or before dawn and charged him with domestic violence murder. Singh appeared via audio-visual link at the Toowoomba Magistrates Court that following Monday. He was remanded in custody and will face court again in October. He was dressed in prison greens and appeared slumped over during the court proceedings. Jana's family, including Faith, who was poignantly clutching Jana's son, Dishal, they were present in the courtroom and watched it all play out. Singh did not enter a plea, and his lawyer, Ramli Salakon, has indicated he will fight the charge. He described his client to reporters after he appeared in court. He described Singh as being distressed. He said that his client has cooperated with the police investigation. His client asserts his innocence and that this matter will be defended. So as I was talking to locals in Toowoomba, I ended up getting to know a fellow who is wheelchair bound and was once a frequent user of Singh's maxi taxi service. His last ride with Singh was probably around 6 months ago, and this man said that he had heard Singh was banned from driving as a representative of black and white cabs, which I understand he was a contract worker for, because there were claims that Singh had behaved inappropriately with a female passenger or female passengers. I spoke to the manager of Black and White Cabs, which is based in Brisbane but does have an arm in Toowoomba, and he didn't want to comment too extensively, but he did confirm that Singh is an associate of the taxi industry in the area and that he has not driven for Black and White Cabs for 6 months. He didn't comment on the claims that I put to him about whether or not Singh had behaved inappropriately with a female passenger or female passengers. So going back to this man that I spoke to, who didn't want to be named, but he told me that not only did he know Singh, but he's known Jana for many, many years. He told me that Singh was kind of the go-to guy in town for wheelchair-bound people due to the size of his taxi. And a lot of wheelchair-bound people have support care workers, which Jana was one of those people. And this man told me that she actually met Singh when she was transporting a person who was in the rear of the taxi, and she was in the front seat next to Singh, and that's how they met. A second source that I spoke to that also uses the taxi services in Toowoomba actually backed up this story as well. She also knew Singh and she also knew Jana. But going back to the man that I was speaking to, again, he's an unnamed source. He told me that he'd only just spoken to Jana not too long ago. They'd run into each other at the local shopping mall. She actually mentioned Singh and her relationship with him, and he was questioning how it was going with him. And she described him as being really lovely to her. But then he dropped probably something that absolutely stunned me, which is a lot because in this job you hear a lot and it takes a lot to render you speechless. But this man told me in the middle of our conversation that Singh was actually still married to his estranged wife, who also lived in the town. And this is despite the fact that he had only recently fathered a child with Jana. A few days ago, I managed to track down Singh's wife, who lives in the Toowoomba area, and she's married to Singh. She has 2 children with him, and she confirmed all this to me. She was, as you would expect, absolutely broken by the series of events that had just occurred in relation to Jana's death and her husband being charged with Jana's domestic violence murder. I wasn't even sure if I believed this myself until I called her and I asked her if she was married to Dharminder Singh, and she confirmed that she was. And then I said the same Dharminder Singh who faced court on Monday accused of the domestic violence murder of 30-year-old Jana Armstrong, and she confirmed, yes, indeed, she was. This woman was quite tearful, understandably so, but at first, at least, she did seem to want to talk about what was going on. She told me that her husband had started seeing Jana around 3 years ago and ultimately left the family home that he shared with his wife and 2 children and moved in with Jana. This wife said that before Singh moved in with Jana, leaving her and her family, she was very, very happy with her life. He appeared for all the world to be a doting father to her children, and I've seen photos of them all at family events and looking very happy and very involved in the local Indian community. But Singh's wife did say that, the second that he started to show interest in Jana, that happiness, that family happiness that she had was clearly absolutely shattered. And she told me that when this all started to happen, that absolutely everything changed for her and her life as she knew it. I also just want to note here, this is really important, that we have agreed not to name Singh's wife or identify her or her children. When I spoke to her, she was at first happy to talk, as I mentioned, but then she started to worry that in exposing her identity and her children's identity, they may become a target in Toowoomba just because of her association with Singh. This clearly broken woman said to me that she was terribly sad about the fact that Jana has died, and she confessed that she is unable to sleep at night. Now, as Singh awaits his next court date, all the focus is on the baby boy left behind amid these terrible, terrible series of events. So this little boy is in the care of his auntie Faith and his uncle Michael, Faith's husband, and a couple of Jana's cousins have launched a GoFundMe to help Faith and Michael raise this little boy unexpectedly, and obviously then as well help cover the funeral costs for a family member that should have lived a long and happy life. I want to go back to talking about Faith a little bit here, because her story is absolutely incredible. She has been a tower of strength for the Armstrong family. She's been managing all of this media attention, which I understand has been quite relentless. I had a brief conversation with Faith. How has Bubby settled in?
Yeah, he's all right. I can sort of tell that he was such a big mummy's boy. Like, everyone that knew Jana and baby Deshal knew that when someone else was holding him, he would look for her. He was always looking for her. And so he just doesn't have that anymore. But I can tell that he just misses his mum.
Is he still looking for her?
Yeah. Jana and I sound quite similar as well. And when Michael's holding him and I'm talking, sometimes he'll turn really quickly to see if it's Jana, but it's just Auntie.
And she's doing all this while also helping, she's taking care of her nephew whose mother has died and whose father is now in jail. This little boy was also, Jana was still breastfeeding when she died. So any viewer who's a mother would understand that, Faith is now also trying to raise this infant and get him used to bottle feeding. So this is all going on while the cameras are on them. They've been making public pleas to help find Jana before they actually did ultimately find her. So it's a lot going on for Faith. And making this all the more incredible and poignant is the fact that Faith herself only recently suffered an absolutely unthinkable tragedy herself. So the Isaacs have a young son already, but they also very recently welcomed a baby daughter who they named Lahara. There were complications during the birth, and Lahara did not survive much longer than a few weeks, which is just absolutely unfathomable. When Faith went to Toowoomba Magistrates Court on Monday, when Singh was facing court, you will have seen the footage of her carrying the baby on her chest. Reporters asked her how she was holding up, essentially, and her response was that she was just surviving on so much adrenaline as she cares for her nephew and chases justice for her beloved sister. As I understand it, Jana and Faith and their brothers only fairly recently also lost both of their parents. First, their mum, Robin, a family friend told me that she suffered from multiple sclerosis. She was wheelchair-bound, and in June 2019, she passed away. Then their father, Ronald, died unexpectedly in February 2021. Jana's death is yet another reminder that Australia is in the grips of an epidemic of violence against women. In 2026, 37 women have died as a result of alleged partner or former partner violence. That's just this year. Queensland Premier David Crisafulli, his Liberal state government is copping serious scrutiny at the moment for cutting $40 million for funding in domestic violence prevention, despite these sickening statistics. That's something that Queensland Labor MP Shannon Fentiman says is indefensible.
It is absolutely shocking that we continue to see violence against women at this level, at these rates. And at the time that we have seen 4 DV incidents play out here in Queensland in recent weeks, we have a government that is cutting $40 million from domestic and family violence prevention.
After Jana died, Premier Crisafulli made a statement where he agreed that something must be done.
We must do more as a state. We must. And I want everyone on a unity ticket on that. That's the greatest gift we could give at the moment.
Now there's another human face to this national disgrace, and that is Faith Isaacs, the sister of Jana, who did not mince her words when she spoke about the scourge that is domestic violence in this country, which has allegedly robbed her of a sister and robbed a little baby of a mother. She said, "More needs to be done. The government, they need to do more. It's just ridiculous," she said.